Hi there, my name is Chris Porter and I am with Team 1, and that consists of me, Thiab, Nikisha, Sam, Jiwei, and Nawaf. I am the editor, master editor, while all of the others each did their own part, including the introduction and each body of the e-newsletter. So to start things off, our topic is about self-driving cars and essentially the integration into society as a whole. So the app starts off everything with introduction into self-driving cars, essentially kind of what they are, like the different brands from companies like Aurora, Fiat, Chrysler, different names these might have, which include, driverless cars or autonomous vehicles. It seems to be that the main part of it is just they're essentially called self-driving cars, and the app goes into detail in breaking down everything as far as what you can expect when you're being introduced into self-driving cars. And then we have our listed table of contents, and we kind of progress in a way that introduces the audience into self-driving cars, essentially like, are they ready for it? And then kind of explaining the positivity behind each one. So with that being said, Nikisha goes into detail about how and if consumers are ready. So there's some statistics pretty much saying that the productivity levels are going to go up, skyrocketing, because how much time can you spend, especially if you're commuting and 2 hours a day just to go to work? How many things you can get done in that amount of time allotted for whatever it does, whether it be business or pleasure. But it seems to be that the biggest concern when diving into surveys for consumers is safety, and safety is obviously going to be the top priority of any company that is going to be producing autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars. So that's one thing Nikisha kind of highlighted as a main priority. And it seems that is the biggest concern, amongst everything else, whether it's in comparison to how much they can get done to where the safety of them comes into hand, and that's where the clash kind of comes together. So with that being said, it kind of goes into the part of, well, how does it impact the economy if it's, if you're saying all these good things? Well, Sam kind of dives into the impact it can have on the economy with possible negatives and possible positives. So there's definitely some question there, and she does a great job in explaining how there's just the new wave of self-driving cars. It's essentially the future. It's here. This is where it's coming down to. So there's a lot of people that can be impacted, as far as even companies like Uber, Lyft, trucking companies. If all of that goes autonomous, there's thousands of jobs that could be lost due to this technological advancement. So she kind of concentrates on the gap between it, because there's certain things that autonomous vehicles just not going to be able to do that a person would do. So there's some definitely pros and cons of it as far as that goes. But essentially, the biggest thing to consider is the dependency on oil. If they end up going all electric, that could eliminate oil. Whether you want to talk about that's a pro or a con, that's a different subject. Decreasing parking spaces. There's definitely more room for like land expansion. You have all these parking lots and huge structures that are taking up so much space. So due to people needing to park, they're at said place for X amount of hours. So now this clears up so much land, being able for new businesses or continued growth from businesses. So that's definitely some different aspects that she took into consideration while diving into this topic of how self-driving cars can affect the economy. And now, bouncing off of the subject of electric cars, Jiwei went the route of kind of explaining the different types of electric cars that could be in use and for use for self-driving vehicles. Essentially, there's three main types. There is battery electric, the plug-in hybrid electrics, and then hybrid electric vehicles. So what G-Way does is kind of go into detail and into depth of each one, explaining the positive sides of it, which kind of gives you a little inside look. It's not just, oh, there's an electric car. There's different models, different aspects of each one. So it's kind of interesting to see the possible impact that these could have alone, just based off of being able to switch over from, X amount of gas-powered vehicles that are on the road to switching to self-driving vehicles that are all electric. There's tons of greenhouse emissions that could be, just thrown out the window just by making the switch to a better future. And that's where our next topic comes into play, and that's where we led off on that. So with the concept of switching from gas vehicles to electric vehicles, Nawaf dives into the environmental aspect and the environmental impact that self-driving cars are going to have on the world as a whole. It's going to be the new sweep of the transport industry with self-driving vehicles, not only for the economy, not only for the consumers, but for the environment as well. There's going to be, a majority of energy consumption that's going to be just completely reduced. As far as like greenhouse emissions go, there's so much emissions that come with gas vehicles that are just going to be completely eliminated with electric and self-driving vehicles. And this is where Nawaf kind of goes into detail about different aspects and specific information about learning of the environmental impacts that they can have on that. And then with that, we wrap it up with just kind of a conclusion going off of everything that the newsletter is and can be. So with that, there's so many aspects that come into it. We wanted to play mostly off of the positive and the positivity that it can bring, as far as giving people with disabilities the ability to live a life like everyone else, which is, something that is probably out of the aspect ratio for most people to consider, but that's something that self-driving vehicles can deliver that nothing else can. To be able to, give the ability for someone that's blind to be able to drive and be able to commute like that without the assistance or, without consistently needing help. So there's certain things that we took into consideration when writing this, and that's what it was all about. And we definitely feel that this is the way of the future, and that's what's going to be coming, so we're embracing it. So if you disagree, agree, go ahead and scan our QR code to be able to subscribe, or you can email us at the link below. Call us, we have our number right there, or follow us at Self-Driving Cars at our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. This is Chris Porter. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.